Audio sync. All right. Hey, YouTube. How's everybody doing? Just noticed my glasses are a little smudgy. This is a pretty filthy rag, actually. How is everybody? Guys, I'm really sorry for what you're being. The words I'm going to say I don't truly believe in some essence, but I'm sorry what you're being dealt right now. And I do believe it's very painful for those of you who chose to watch this video. At least a number of you can resonate with the fact that what you're experiencing right now is probably the most painful experience in your whole life. Now, if I'm too specific, I may be not including some people. So I want to be inclusive of all kinds of experiences, but in particular, I know divorce is a very painful experience, losing your job, bankruptcy, any number of things like that. Just losing your possessions, especially divorce, though, because that's losing someone. It depends on your circumstance. It could be liberating, I realize that, but it could be a deep loss or kind of a weird combination of all the above. And I'm truly sorry. It's not the most heartfelt message at this moment. I'm sure I could have delivered it at a time where I probably could have felt the impact myself. But having gone through that narrow passage, I think some of the baggage has had to come off through both no choice of my own and a choice of my own. It's kind of like a hybrid of both. Well, it's kind of like, there is a choice, but not much. You either move on at some point, and truly, you're not ready to hear move on, so I don't even want to go there. I think I do hold some very valuable truths, but I don't believe my listeners at this point, those of you who are listening, and I felt led to click on this video, are actually ready to hear like any ultimate truth bomb, which I don't really have to offer anyway. There's really no truth bomb I could just, or magic wand, or anything that's going to make this pain go away soon enough. That's unfortunate, and I truly do empathize with your situation as it stands right now. I'm not here really to offer advice, or am I? I don't even know. I pressed play. I had this unction in my heart that I have, like almost like a momentary gifting of just being able to resonate with maybe a handful of people. Probably won't attract too many viewers. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. The important thing is that you're able to listen and just soak in any comfort, albeit maybe temporary, to get you through the night or whatever. You have more than a glimmer of hope, but truly all you can see right now is a glimmer. Small, maybe not even that, a tiniest glimmer of hope is what it feels like. There's not enough Prozac in the world to get you through this, it may seem, or alcohol or whatever. I won't assume any position or any coping mechanism you're leaning on to help you get through this. I feel like I'm a person who holds truth, but I don't want to hold it over you as if, hey, you should listen to me because I'm superior in my intellect or even in my heart. I do want to emphasize that I do believe I have some humility, but not to the point where it's like, who am I to speak or who am I to say anything? That could easily be a place I could stand from. Easily, it's like, well, who am I to try to approach anyone with these particular issues? Even though I've got Like I've gone through a divorce, for example, more than one actually. One that truly was from a place of brokenness. I mean, actually both were, but one was personally a place of brokenness. The other one, the first one, I actually was the instigator of that process. But we're not getting into any of those stories at this point. I think I have touched on them briefly in a previous video. It's just the fact that I've experienced this. I may be talking to people that's not what you're going through, but just hold on. I think there's this message I want, I guess, to pull out of my experience, and that's just, guys, I understand, and that's maybe sometimes that's all we can hope to do when another person is going through something. I've seen my own social media posts when I was going through some of this, and I wasn't very direct. Fortunately, I did have that going for me. I mean, my posts weren't lovely or anything, kind of vague posting, but I've seen other people going through a very painful situation, and some of them really are rather forthcoming in their assessment of the situation. I just see the pain in both genders. You can see where people are coming from, and maybe they're treating Facebook like a diary, but I really don't belittle that fact. It's kind of, I suppose for some people, it's like, hey, do you know that you're using Facebook as a diary? But like everyone can see what you're writing. I understand that perspective too. But also, it's nice to know where people's hearts truly are in difficult places. Maybe maybe it helps us to know on some level that we're not the only ones who have gone through a similar situation. And it's like, oh, I'm not the only one that may have had a thought like that. Or I don't want to share, what I've read. It would be too personal. It would kind of be an invasion of privacy. Like, hey, there's my friend. He went through this. Let me read this. I probably wouldn't want to do that. But it's unfortunate the things we go through, but it is a relatable point of being human. And just want to let you know that I love each and every one of you. And I can't say I'm the most loving person to my subscribers, like truly authentic. I'm just practicing these words coming out of my mouth. And hopefully that makes it authentic on the level that it is. I can't superimpose myself any more than that. I do love you, but it's not probably on the same level as maybe a different viewer you've listened to. I mean, how do you, in my viewpoint, it's like, how do I love you when I don't even know you? But I'm speaking from a place of faith too, that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I'm projecting that on myself. I'm not trying to point that on you. Of course, unless you need it, but sneaking that in there. I'm not trying to make this a Christian video this time. I have done those. I'm just trying to widen the scope for all walks and influences of life. Going through a really difficult time, and I don't even want to mention what you may have contemplated, what may be a better thing for you right now in your own mind would be just not to even be here, I suppose, or at least you've contemplated maybe, hopefully, something a little more filtered through than that. But maybe not. Maybe it's just dark. Maybe it truly is just the darkest season, and you haven't been able to filter out some of the thoughts you've been having, which perhaps aren't even your own. If you don't, I mean, we want to own our behaviors, but some of our thoughts we don't necessarily have to take ownership. It's like, where is that coming from? Let's refocus, reevaluate. I don't want to offer too much advice because I know it's a place of just empathy, listening to your heart actually, as you're listening to mine. And I don't know how I can listen to you other than kind of just like the feedback of listening to myself from X number of years ago, going through various things like who would I want to listen to when I'm going through this SHIT, this crap, this, I don't know, is there an acronym for that? That's actually kind of a little more favorable, SHIT. It's just the shame, I suppose, for some of us, maybe not all. Just the horrific state you find yourself in. Some of you may still be walking in strength and a certain amount of freedom. I mean, that's possible. Maybe in some ways there's some letting go, but you're still, of course, grieving. So the shame, there's just the horrific nature of the situation. The introspection, which isn't bad, but I'm trying to come up with an acronym. Sometimes the introspection for some of us is a little bit too much. I mean, it's the navel gazing, just looking inwards. I mean, I think that's part of the process. You got to do it. But there's maybe a little overdone, a little too much. Isolation, maybe that's more the word, isolation. The isolation that comes from this experience. I mean, it's a choice, I suppose, but it feels rather imposed. It's like, what other choices? Maybe not a time to go out and party and hang out with friends like promiscuous or, well, that's not the word I'm really looking for, but like when you're cruising the streets as a teenager, you're carousing about just having a good time when you're really not able to have a good time, trying to, I don't know, escape the pain and make it bearable if you can. And we have one last letter to fulfill here, the T. What's the word that comes to mind? Should it be a bad word or a good word? I don't know, for some people it could actually be the truth. Maybe but maybe it's more how you perceive the truth too, because it's a little bit of your own perspective is influencing your temper. If we come up with another T, the temperament that you're in, if it's not like temper, it's the temperament that it triggers you. It's very triggering. Guys, I know it's heartbreaking. At least not at this very minute do I have an answer. I know I'm on the other side of this at least to a huge extent. I am on the other side of this kind of thing. I think it'd be too quick. I mean, I know you're in the almost like the infant stages of this whole process. I think it'd be too much for me to dump some solution on you. I think I know that. But is there like a preliminary thing you can hold on to while you experience your own journey to healing? I mean, some people plant a seed, someone else waters it. I'm just offering the tiniest crumb, I guess. Hopefully these crumbs are more than crumbs. Hopefully it's actually seeds that kind of resemble like a crumb that I'm willing to throw out your way, and you're willing to consider its impact on your life. Well, it may seem like a lack of impact, because after all, it's only a seed that I'm throwing into that heart of yours over there that's broken in so many pieces. But in that aspect of brokenness, because it's in so many pieces, I think the seed's able to actually get through. For others of you, me like, no, the walls are up because it's so much pain. But I think I'm actually talking to people that are looking for, like, what the crap am I going to do? So if you stumbled upon my video here And so far, I'll be honest, it's not really helping you that much. But you are listening. It's like, what else am I going to do? This guy's on here talking about some rough experiences. He's not even talking about it, not even being upfront. Just that he went through a divorce. I mean, he's not even all that vulnerable himself. I have other videos where I've never done that. I don't want to be, like, I've never gone to any great detail. But I don't think I have to. I think you know what you're going through. And I know what I went through, and that's enough right there. I guess you can't let the other person twist you up inside, whether it's, their motive or not. It may not be. Maybe you have an amicable situation, and maybe that made it even more painful in a way, because it's not like you lost someone that fits the bill for, like, a bad person. They're actually, maybe for some of you, they are like a quote-unquote bad person, but some of the rest of you have like a good person that you lost, and I just lost light over there. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. It's very painful. I'm going to turn up this light to compensate for that light. Guys, I guess it's time to end the video. But give me like maybe 5 minutes. Either come up with something that's at least going to help you, or you can just shut off the video now, because I know there's no point in listening to someone ramble. Even if they've experienced it, even if I've experienced some stuff, it's your story. It's your story. And I'm going to sit in the light this way. Maybe that's the lesson too. It's positioning ourselves so that we are in the light, I guess. I don't want to make this a trite thing where all you have to do is X, Y, Z, and it's all good. I know it's not. I know it's a day-to-day process. Every day you're going to have to get up, do your job, clean your house more than I have. That's where this gets a little personal to me. It's your mental health, keeping yourself in good shape. You're probably going to some extent, either overdo some of those things or not maintain them enough. So, choice is truly yours, but I guess an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as they say. And I know it's just too much to all take in at once, and we're probably going to make some choices that we regret, because obviously the weight of this thing is too much, and I won't negate that. It is too much. God, just grant my viewers that are listening the strength to get through this. I pray for your soul that you're able to come through the other side of this. Not because I'm such a great motivator, because I'm not. Like I said before, I stand in some aspect of humility. I just admitted, hey, I'm not so great. But again, I can't remember who said it. I want to, give credit to who said this. But it's like, who are you not to shine your light? Who are you not to shine your light? We've each been given a light. Maybe it's a very specific light. And our contribution is to offer that to anyone who listens. It may not be for everybody, but it's for somebody. So I know the pain's real. I know that I hate to use the word shame, because it seems like at the beginning of every Christian song, there's not every, but so many, it's like this scenario that's supposed to fit yours, like you're in all this shame and guilt. But I guess for some people that really is what you're experiencing. Sometimes we reframe it so it's not those things exactly. It doesn't feel quite that way, but there's some aspect of a negative pull, a negative energy just sucking you in, no matter what it is, no matter what name you want to give it, like being sucked into your own brain, just like, and just the inward pull. It could be extroversion too. I mean, you can go inward, outward. I'm not saying introversion's bad because I myself am quite introverted. I would venture to say. I don't think I even have to venture to say that. I think that's basically true. I don't know how to tell you not to isolate because I don't have answers for that kind of thing. I just know for some of you, if you have some ideas and you're like going through it in real time yourself, I prefer those viewers actually. I know there's some that have already gone through it and you may have some insights, but I'm actually kind of looking for those who are actually right in the middle of the storm and maybe anything you want to share in the comments. That's more than welcome. Try to. I guess if you can't filter it because it's just not filterable, we'll see what we can allow in the comments. I know it's a painful place, so sometimes there's pointed words that we have in our hearts and that come out of our mouth. Yeah. I'm not saying I welcome everything and anything, but we'll see. Because it is a very painful and raw, vulnerable place. And you're in a very raw, vulnerable position. And through no fault of your own sometimes, I wouldn't say no fault, but maybe in the basic essence, that's how it feels and that's how it feels to you. And maybe you have support for that viewpoint. Some of you, maybe it's all maybe you're thinking it's all your fault. I don't know what, or some in between version of that. Those two scenarios, maybe it doesn't even matter whose fault. It's just the fact that we're human and victim, perpetrator, somewhere in the middle. We're certainly suffering now, maybe for putting up with too much too long, putting up with too much too long, or we let it slip through our fingers. Maybe if it is a divorce, maybe you just became roommates, and maybe there really was hardly any fighting. It just became stalemate or stale, both. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. As far as me trying to come up with some word of knowledge, probably not going to be able to pull it off right now. It's the perspective that you have and that you're holding right now is pretty real. It's pretty real. It's too real. And nothing I'm going to say is going to seem to matter. I get it. And the darkness, maybe you're holding some of it back. How much darkness would you want to invite? So probably the sensibilities that we hold might keep us from doing some pretty stupid things, but yet it's maybe being entertained in our mind on some subtle way. And I certainly don't want to feed that, but I'll certainly acknowledge, allow you to acknowledge that, yeah, that's pretty dark, and I'll acknowledge it got pretty dark. Or did have some sense to, I don't know, I don't want to preach. But I don't want to not preach. I either hold on or let yourself be held. And on some level, it was surprising. In some ways, I maybe moved on too fast, found myself a girlfriend. I don't know. I don't really regret that. I think it had its healing aspect. for sure. So that was great. But it wasn't. Apparently, it wasn't meant to be. Uh, I thought it would have been, but I'm not here to reflect in such a way that I get sucked into the introspection of that. It's just acknowledging it, and moving on. At least for me, I can't speak for you. Some of you may be able to move on a lot quicker than you realize, or a lot quicker than me. I mean, in some ways, yeah, I moved right on, but there's some residue of that situation. Would I want to say that even sticks with me to this day? I think I've experienced too much healing to allow myself to be stuck in some memory of wanting to be back with her or whatever. I think I can honestly say, even if God set me up with an opportunity, the question might remain, would I take it or not? And it's not because anyone was a bad person, or are they a good fit at this point. I'm not saying I guess I'd have to question it, and it wouldn't be like a rash decision in that regard. Some of you may face the chance of uh, going back. Is it the best choice? That's for you to decide. Some of you are faced with the hardcore truth that he or she is never going to allow you back in their world to such an extent, or even to amicable, nice extent. That would be painful. But even when they let you in to a limited, boundary riddled uh, extent, it is what it is at that point. It's certainly not what it was, and there's no need to make it back into what it was. Now, there are a few people who maybe do hold an opportunity for reconciliation. That would be awesome. I'm not really speaking to those people per se, because I guess because that's not what I've experienced. But I certainly wouldn't want to crush any hope, but neither would I want people holding on to, any kind of toxic form of hope, because hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? And we need keep our realities in check, keep our miracles open at the same time. But I feel like I'm speaking more to someone whose situation is pretty fatal, in the sense that it's over and it's over. And you've already had your moments of reconciliation and making up. And those were good moments, perhaps, for some of you. But now it's, nope, that's not happening right now. It's not happening. You got your last kiss and all that stuff. Some of you may have even experienced that. I don't know. What hopes do we offer at this point? As my stomach or throat growls. Guys, if I just told you I don't know, would that just be too much truth? Would that be weighing you down more or less? The inside to this is, if you keep going, there's hope because you kept going. And there's something on the other side of persistent, stubborn endurance, I guess. I certainly would want to provide more than that, but on some level, that's what you got to look forward to. It sounds kind of bad there, doesn't it? I wouldn't take it as drudgery. I think the yoke has been lightened so that you can make your steps going forward with a little bit less heaviness progressively every day. And if you are more positive than me in this regard, that is awesome because I'm trying to keep in pace with some level of melancholy that you're probably going to experience if you're willing to listen to me in the first place. And it's not to run way on past ahead of what you're feeling, but you're going to have to go a little bit faster than the melancholy every day. Just a little bit. Just make progressive small baby steps every day to not be the same person the next day. Just a little bit. Don't make too much of it, but just be persistent. Be faithful at your work, your job, the opportunities that you do have that are already in place for you. Keep those. Maintain. Maintain. I have a little check in my heart about that because that's such an American thing, isn't it? But since I don't know any better, and maybe you don't either, maintain until you find maybe a better reference. Maintain. I mean, what are we maintaining? The same, what's that word called? I'm trying to think of a specific word, and I can't think of it. Because when you have this whole paradigm, I mean, maintaining the same paradigm isn't always a good thing, but until you know the next step, maybe it's okay for now. But hold on to it loosely. I think your paradigm is about to shift. So when it starts slipping away and there's another vision in sight for you to latch on to, let the old slip away, embrace the new paradigm. I don't know if that would be a different job for some of you. As far as dating after a divorce, even though I did, I don't know if it's actually truly recommended. It may help you let go, I guess, of the other person, but it's the rebound. The psychology of the rebound isn't always going to end up that, hey, I found the next person to spend the rest of my life with. I don't know if that happens on the rebound. It's almost like an inevitability that you will probably experience a rebound unless you're very guarded in that regard, which you may be because you're experiencing so much pain. And honestly, if you let enough relationship failures occur after your divorce, you may actually close up more. Don't know. But I pray your heart actually can remain open but guarded, and maybe more boundaries is a better word. But not just to give it the right word. I mean, you need healthy boundaries, but you need to be open. So let me see if I have a word of prayer or even a thought. If I bow my head, you can bow your head if you want. You can just keep your eyes open. It's not the religion of it. It's the thoughts emanating from inside our hearts as we're going through this. I want to say it together, but I know you're in your own experience there. I want to say it together though, because I'm with you right now in spirit. And I don't want the prop to be that I'm just sitting here not saying anything. But I do have to quiet my heart just long enough So it may kind of be that way. Like I believe my heart's kind of still, almost still to the point where I don't have much to say. But it has to experience even another layer of just being still and knowing. And I'm going to say it, it's know that He is God. Even though I said this is like a non-religious video, I'm not trying to trick anybody, but I'm trying to use my own spiritual nature here to see what there is, even for those of you who aren't a part of that experience. Let's just see if there's any wisdom that can come out. If I just ask for God, I ask for wisdom for my viewers, that you would impart that to them. Whether it's something you give directly to them, which is probably preferred in a lot of ways, it takes the pressure off of me. But I'm still going to sit here and listen, because maybe some of you need confirmation, or you just need maybe a word. And just, you'll have to give me some time, because I'll be honest, I feel a little rusty, but yet I feel prompted to deliver this video. So I feel like whatever apparatus or mechanism or divine thing I'm flowing with right now, it might be a little bit rusty, but that's the very reason I'm moving in it, is I'm putting the grease on this thing. And I think this is out. This is like essential oil or something. I don't think there's much of anything in there. But whatever little grease there is, like both physically and in a metaphorical sense, we're going to apply the grease of Holy Spirit and move in any direction at all. Any particulars that He wants to point out, I think He's able to do that. I just have to shut up and speak. Shut up long enough so I can kind of catch on to what He's trying to tell me, and then go ahead and proceed with something to say. But give me a few minutes. Thank you. And you do the same. You do the same. All right, the only thing I really got is launch and the picture of like a rocket launching and all the thrust it took to perform that launch, to get something off the ground. And I feel like now that's subject to my interpretation, because the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet, and I could be off in this, but I guess He trusts me with whatever perspective I may have, even if it's a little bit flaky or off. It is what it is. But I feel like get on board with the trajectory that you're being offered. Get on board this rocket. God's going to provide the fuel. And I believe there's enough fuel for you to get off the gravity of this situation and to keep moving forward. That thrust is going to be a little bit painful and intense. Just a thrust that's going to allow you to escape the gravitational pull of this situation. But the counter force is, if you want to say the thrust, I'm not a scientist, you're going to be pulled up and away from the situation as you've known it, either all these years or maybe even for a very brief time you got sucked in, or maybe it was a number of years, and then suddenly you got sucked in even more, and now you're escaping this thing, and you've got your own trajectory, your own velocity, and like I said, you're escaping the gravitational pull of this thing. So launch into your destiny. The unpleasant thing at liftoff is probably documented if you want to watch videos like that. I mean, whatever occurs in the natural realm, you could probably expect it within something more spiritual or just the life altercation that you're going through. Yeah, there's going to be some discomfort, but no, this is taking you higher to new levels, and that is your hope. It's your destiny, your journey, and that's really all I've got for right now. So I kind of released that word when I said that's all I got for right now. Maybe hoping for one more, but maybe not. Maybe that's it. Because it took a little bit to just listen, actually. Yeah, I don't think I want to sit here and just try to come up with something. I probably could, but sometimes I'm definitely one of those people that wants to hear. So that's what I heard, and maybe that's enough right there. We can get a lot of words, but it's probably it necessitates some action. But I don't want to burden you with do more. I want you to rest, actually, in this period of your life in His enabling grace. I'm not trying to reframe your doing. It really is rest. It's grace. But I know there's imperative matters to attend to, probably, in this situation. May He give you the grace to go through that. If you're listening to this, I want the favor to be on you for this situation. A peace of mind and a sustainable future are all yours. It's all yours. Pray the tightening in your chest and your stomach, I can loosen its grip if all possible. Yeah. Once again, I do want to be empathetic. I know it's very painful, even physically painful for something that's actually not physical, but you can, if you're where some people are at in this pain you're experiencing, it can be even felt physically. So, but I don't want to take you back to the pain. I just want to know, I want you to know I know. I feel like I just got your mind off of that and I brought you right back into it. But you're going to be pulled back anyway. But the thing is, you do have this thrust, and it's maybe competing with the pull of the gravity. But when it's all said and done, you may win some battles, you may lose some battles, but this rocket's taking you somewhere. Doesn't have to be a perfect launch. This isn't one of those experiments where it's all or nothing. In this particular rocket launch, there's some room for some imperfection and failure. I know in the real world it has to be like perfect. One little thing goes wrong, it all explodes. That's not the case here. In this particular environment, the launch is filled with all kinds of grace. There's some room for some error. I'm not saying you can go off and do your own thing and get away with it, but there's grace. There's falling down. There's getting back up. So that's where it differs from like a typical rocket launch. This one is taking you somewhere, almost like whether you want to or not, because many of you didn't want this particular thing to happen in your life, but it is happening. So the invitation is, let's see where this can take us. Um, you don't have to treat it like it's ordained by providence. But since you're already in the situation you don't want to be, you certainly have to be redirected anyway. You have to be redirected because what else is there? So where can you go from here? Where can you go from here? Uh, yes. I guess the answer is just yes for whatever vague reason. Go ahead and say yes to. And some people you need to say no to. You got to know that too. Say yes to the newness of life, the new beginning. I know it was thrust upon you unfairly, and on some levels, the other party may have even admitted that. I don't know. Pray you find a way to reframe this, and that's, of course, not all on me to coach you through this. I'm not even close to a life coach. I'm just here to. Well, I can't be a listening ear but I would if I could for some of you. I would listen. If I was in like a life situation that called for that. So far, I'm trying to be a listener, but I'm really talking, all right? And you need someone to listen to. So maybe find someone, maybe find a trusted friend and share what you're going through. That's probably one of the most healing things you could do, but of course it does have to be someone you trust and someone you actually can trust. And I'm sorry once again, very sorry, but all right, I don't think I have much else to say. I know that I left you with hope, but it wasn't the magic wand that you really knew better to hope for anyway. I mean, let me tell you something though. I'm not going to tell you to brace for it. I think we can do a little better than that. I'm not going to tell you to brace yourself. I do believe there's a journey, and I do believe there's an element of having to buckle up for this ride. But I pray that you can loosen your composure a little bit. I mean, stay within the framework of a functioning person. Go do your job, do your work every day. Stay in healthy routines. But don't be too rigid either. Be flexible, but only rigid enough for if you need some structure and if you need the structured environment and regiment to get you through, do that. Maybe slowly introduce some risk and some adventure in there. Let your hair down a little bit when the time is right. And may God guide you in this awful endeavor, but may it kind of evolve into an adventure that you actually, on the other side of it, can look back on it as, I don't know, I don't want to put the words in your mouth. You share your story and how you began with this perspective, but as you walked your journey of suffering, if you want to call it that, you arrived, I shouldn't say on the other side, because we continue. What's the other side then? Because it just keeps going. But there's a point where there is another side, where you do look back, and maybe in that essence, in that aspect, there is another side, because now your perspective has gradually evolved to a point where you're no longer as sad as you used to be. Maybe you've even reached a joyful state. And that's good news. That's good news for what the future holds for you, and just know that may or may not seem that way right now. I'd venture to say it actually doesn't seem that way. I don't want to make anyone cuss at me for offering hope that they really can't even accept. I mean, that gets to that point. But just know there's a little spark. Even if it's like a cigarette lighter that's got no fuel, there's just sparks coming. So it's not lighting my cigarette. And I don't even smoke, okay? I've never even smoked one time. But maybe that's what it's not lighting up for you right now. You're not getting that coping mechanism. It's not working for you. And maybe that's good news because it's like a cigarette. And maybe you need to explore other options that are more healthy. And I don't want to be your mother in this. I'm not your mother or your father, but I am a figure of hope and inspiration. Dare I say, even motivation. What am I saying that would possibly motivate you to not sulk in that easy chair for too much longer? Do what you need to do, but I don't know, get out and explore or stay inside and make a video. I don't know what you want to do, but that's going to come more, I think, in the future when you've had some time. So I don't want to push anything right now. But I'm planting that seed that you are going to get to that point, and it's just a matter of time, but you do have to give it time. And time doesn't really work in this regard unless you move with it. Don't try to get ahead of your process, but there's no need to drag it out either. It's already dragged out for years for some of you. You've been walking on eggshells, and at least now maybe could you say for yourself there's at least less eggshells? I mean, the crunching sound is maybe behind you now. Now it's maybe the mess you got to clean up, but may God grant you favor, may He go before you, and I pray you have something you can share in the comments that sheds some light on why I would even make this video in the first place. If I don't get a few of those, I may have to wonder myself, why did I do this video? Why did I think I had this prompting to share? But even if I get 0 comments, 0 likes, I am putting this video out there. And I think it's only a matter of time, really, before someone listens to it and feels like they're being offered a glimpse into their future, and you're actually being prospected for a better future, actually. You may or may not think you had the perfect one. Maybe you think you had the worst one. I don't know. It just depends on your situation. And I think it's just time to end the video before I ramble on anymore. Once again, I know it hurts, and I'm very sorry. And with that, I don't want to be so empathetic that I'm giving you easy way to sulk back in that whole spirit of despair, can I call it that? Attitude of despair and hopelessness and helplessness. Easy to be pulled into that. But like I said, you're being launched into your future. And it's a bright one. I know we got to get through some of the dark spots of this endeavor. You're going to do that. It's going to be okay. All right. Hang in there. I know it's tough. I think God's going to be with you. You're going to feel that presence with you right now. If you don't, I understand that too. I'm not trying to impose something on you you're not going to feel. But there's no sense in me imposing the dread and despair of it. it's like, fine, you're just going to feel the despair then. We're not trying to do that either. There's certainly a place to put your hope. And I realize that's a controversial statement for some of you, but you still need to hear it. There's a place to put your hope. Put your hope in God. Why so downcast? Well, you know why, but put your hope in God. And let him be the lifter of your head. And if you don't even have to understand this from a religious point of view, just know where I'm coming from. And I'm not necessarily trying to bring you to my level of understanding. I'm just a human being talking to you with my perspective. It may not match yours, but I pray we can at least temporarily see eye to eye, even if but for a moment, to know you can look into my eyes, not believe a word I'm saying, and still see the hope that's there. Nothing else, just look into my eyes, see the hope, know that the hope is there, resides within me, and know the same hope resides in you, or maybe it's an entirely different hope, but the same essence, actually, regardless, is still there within you, and it's pulling you into a greater dimension, a greater glory. There's strength within you, and you've already felt the weakness, but you're being pulled higher. You're being pulled out of the muck and the mire of that whole freaking situation. You are going to get through this, and you're going to like getting through it, and you're not going to like it all at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain. There are greater things in store for you, and you don't even have to believe it. I was going to say you have to, but you don't even have to. I mean, if faith is a cooperative element to this, it probably would help. But if I say God's got you, that means you can disagree with me, and he's still got you. Okay? That's the kind of faith talking about. That even when you lose all faith, someone's still got your back in all of this mess. Topsy-turvy and all the chaos and disturbance and the wind and waves just swirling all around. But don't get lost in that whole chaos. I pray I don't over-explain it. Pray my next few words can actually have some even stronger meaning, but it's just you know exactly where you're at, where you need to go, but you don't. I know. I was trying to project that you know exactly where you're at, and exactly where you need to go. And you're like, no, I don't, bro. I know. But remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Yeah, I realize I just contradicted myself. You know exactly where you are and exactly where you need to go. Like right now, maybe not, but right now, yes. The roadmap is in there. You don't have to figure it all out right now. That's what I mean. You don't have to figure it out all right now. The essence of that roadmap is going to speak to you, but it's going to be through the process of a daily commitment to listen, be present, be aware. I'm not trying to necessarily align with New Age teachings or anything, but I suppose being aware in the present moment would be positive thing, but don't be aware purely from a New Age perspective, but really the God of the universe is trying to speak to you. Just let him in and let him talk. Let him have access to the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Trust I've spoken to your heart. Even if you disagreed with me and where I was coming from, that is totally fine. Like I said before, you see the hope that's in my eyes. Probably could see him better without these glasses. I need to get different glasses, I think. They had the anti-glare, and I just think it does something to them. I don't know. Guys, there is hope for our future. There's hope for tomorrow. And I don't need to carry on too much more on about it, because that's the way of the message. I can't beat a dead horse anymore. There's hope, and I don't have to convince myself of it. I don't have to convince you. Latch on. All right. I mean, what an odd way to end the video. But yeah, just like, comment, subscribe. And I'd be happy to hear what you have to say. Thank you.